Hey, how's it going? So today's video is gonna be a little strange, I think. I don't really know how to title it, but basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna be using an Axios call to fetch data from a REST API, and then send it through an Apollo server and receive it within our React app. The API that I decided to go with was a Jacan API. I tried to incorporate it with GraphQL, but apparently you can't do it. So what I did was I just made an Axios call and sent it through that way. Sent it through the Apollo client and everything. So here is a simple query that I've made. It targets an anime ID of 1, which is Cowboy Bebop. If I run it, then it gives us the information for that anime. Well, just a little bit of it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okie dokie. So the first thing that we're going to do is we need to install all of our dependencies and initialize our project. This first section of the project is going to be all dedicated to actually converting the REST API data and sending it through our Apollo GraphQL server. So the first thing I need to do is npm init. That'll initialize our package JSON. Just press enter for everything. And then after that, I'm going to do npm install. We need to install 4 dependencies. We're going to do Apollo-server Apollo-server-express, and then we're going to do Axios, and we're going to install Express, and finally GraphQL. Alright, so the way this is going to work is going to be a little funky. We are going to create a file. We're going to do touch index.js, and we're going to do resolvers.js and schema.js. It should create those 3 files. There we go. And we're going to treat our index.js file as our main hub. So then when we do index.js, when we do node index.js, it'll run the file and start our Apollo server. Our resolvers is going to contain the actual API call. If my mouse can stop glitching on me. It's going to contain all of our Axios calls, return the data, and then our schema is going to define all of our types for our Apollo server and our GraphQL stuff. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tackle our API calls. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to open up our resolver.js file. And we're going to define our Axios variable. So I'll do const Axios is equal to require Axios. And inside of there, I'm going to do const resolvers is equal to curly braces. And then at the bottom here, we'll do export module.exports is equal to resolvers, so we can export our resolvers. And then I'll do query like so, and I'm going to do anime async. We're going to give it a couple of parameters. So I'll do is parent, and we're going to give it ID. I'll explain to you what the ID is, and then we're going to define it as a function. And inside of here, we're going to do const URL const response is equal to await axios.get, and I'm just going to copy the link for the API URL and paste it into here like so. So what it is, it's going to be calling from the Jacan API version 4. It's going to give it the /anime ID and full. ID is going to be the ID of the specific anime that we're going to be querying for. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be associated to a specific anime. It could be like Naruto, Cowboy Bebop, Bleach, whatever. And so after that, what I'm going to do is const anime data is equal to response.data.data. And then after that, we are going to just do const. This is for the genre specifically. So if you don't want to add any genres, you don't have to, but I'm going to. We're going to do genres is equal to anime data dot genres dot map, and then genre, run it as a function. I think I have one missing curly brace. There we go. And then I'm going to give it mal underscore ID is equal to genres dot mal underscore ID, and name genres dot name. Is it genres? Genre. Oops. There we go. And then after that, we're going to do return, and we're going to return some data. So I'm just going to quickly copy and paste what we're going to be returning. So we're going to return the ID of the anime, the title, the images, the episodes, synopsis, and the genres that we made right here. Alright, so now that we've taken care of the resolvers part, returning the data, pulling the data from the API, let's go ahead and talk about our schema and define all the types. So I'm going to open up my schema.js file, and at the very top, I'm going to import Apollo Server Express. So I'll do const curly braces GQL is equal to require, and we're going to require the Apollo Server Express like so. And then after that, I'm going to do const type defs is equal to GQL backticks, and then at the very end of it, I'm going to just go ahead and do same thing. So I'll do module dot exports is equal to type defs like so. Perfect. So now the GQL is the area we're going to be defining all of our types. So the first one that we're going to do is called type. Let's call it type anime, and that's going to be having mal underscore ID, which is going to be associated to an ID, which is required. Title, which is going to be a string. Images, which is going to be anime images, and episodes, int, and synopsis, which is going to be a string, and genres, which is going to be genre with an array block like so. Now let me just quickly talk about how these look in the actual API. So opening up the documentation, we can see that we already have mal ID, which is an ID, which is just a number like this. This mal ID is going to be corresponding to what kind of anime ID it is. So let's say Naruto, for example, has the ID of 1, so then our mal ID will be 1, and then it will give us all the data pertaining to that anime. After that, we have title, which is string. So if you look at title right here, it should be here, title right here, which is string. Images, which we called it anime images, and I'll show you what that's going to look like in a bit. But if we go into images right here, we see that it actually is a parent to JPEG and WebP. So let's say if we open up JPEG, then we need to also define these as well, so that we can pull that data from the API. Then after that, we have episodes, which should just be an int right here. Synopsis, which is a string, and genres, wherever that is. No idea where genres is. Oh, here it is, genres. So genres, an array block within itself is a curly brace which contains all the information such as mal ID, type, name, URL, all the good stuff. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and paste all of the other types that are remaining that I have created beforehand. So the first type, anime images, which is right here, contains children, which is called JPEG and WP, which are associated to anime image, which are these types right here. An anime image is going to contain some more children. It's going to contain our image URL that we saw earlier, small image URL, large image URL. Then we have the genre, and then we have type query, which is going to contain, which is going to request our ID, and then it's going to return all of the anime data. Alright, so that takes care of our resolvers and our schema. Let's go ahead and actually tackle our index.js file, import everything, run it, so then we can have our Apollo server running. So opening up my index.js file, after I save my schema.js file, I'm going to do all of my imports that we need. So we'll do first const express is equal to require express, and then I'll do const Apollo server is equal to require Apollo server express, and then after that I'll do const type defs is going to be our schema file. So I'll do require / schema, and then const resolvers is equal to require / resolvers. There we go. And after that, I'm going to create our port for the app and associate express to our app. So I'll do const app is equal to express, and then after that I'll do const port is equal to process.env.port or 4000. And we're going to run this on 4000 mainly because we're going to have our React app running on 3000. So after that, I'll just do async, and then const server is equal to new Apollo server. Inside of here, we're going to add our definitions and resolvers. So we'll do type defs and resolvers like show, and then await server dot start and server dot apply middleware. Give it app, and then we need to listen to the app somewhere. So I'll do app dot listen at port, which is going to be port 4000. Run it as a function. Whoops, there we go. And then inside here, I'll just do console.log server is running on http :/localhost $ curly braces port /GraphQL. There we go. And so now if I do node index.js, we should see nothing. Oh wait, do I need to apply? Whoops, I forgot to do this. Add braces there, add braces there, and run it like so, and then run node index.js. And we have an error that says already in use. I closed my previous GraphQL app. I'm going to do node index.js again. We have our server running on localhost 4000. Let's go ahead and open her up. And we have it opening. And let's try to send through a test query. So let's get rid of this. Oh, we need that. So let's get rid of up to here. And it's going to require some stuff. So let's go ahead and ask it for the title. And let's give it an anime ID of that number, if it exists. Cluster edge. There we go. Perfect. Actually, that's a little bit too zoomed out. There we go. So what we did was we gave it a variable ID of 69. Nice. And then after that, I gave it a query, just asking for the title of the anime, and then we get the response right there from our GraphQL Apollo server. So now let's go ahead and take this bad boy and connect it to our React app. Alright, so to create our React app, what I'm going to do is just npx create-react-app, and I'll call it GraphQL gcan API app. Alright, so for our React app, we need to install some dependencies. The first one is going to be our Apollo client, so I'll do npm install at Apollo-client, and then I'll also install GraphQL. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to initialize our Apollo provider. So open up your source folder, and then inside of there go into your index.js file. And what we're going to do is we're going to encapsulate our app within our Apollo provider. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these react.strict modes, and then I'll do Apollo provider, and then encapsulate the app like so. It needs a parameter, a prop called client, and it's going to be equal to client. Now this doesn't exist yet. We will create this right now actually. So what I'll do is first I'll import client from /client. Now this doesn't exist either. We're going to create this. Let's call it Apollo client. Yeah, so now let's go ahead and open up your source folder, and inside of there I'll make a new file. I will call it Apollo client. I don't know why I keep adding the G at the end of it. I don't get it. But inside of here is where we're going to create our Apollo client. So our Apollo client is going to be pretty simple. All it's going to be doing is it's going to connect to our localhost GraphQL server. So what I'll do is import. Oh, we don't need to import it. Import has to go along. So I'll do const HTTP link is equal to new HTTP link from Apollo client. And then I'm going to give it the link, so I'll do URI. It'll be HTTP :/localhost 4000 /GraphQL. And that's where our local GraphQL server is located, and that's the link we're going to give it. After that, we're going to do const client is equal to new Apollo Client. There we go. And we'll give it some parameters. So we'll do link is going to be equal to HTTP link like so, and then we'll do cache new in memory cache like so, and then finally we're just going to do export default client. There we go, perfect. And so let's go ahead and also import it here. Oh, we already did import it there, perfect. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create our queries file. So inside of my source folder, I'm going to create a new file, and let's call this queries.js. And inside of there, I'll do import GQL from Apollo Server Express. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste the actual variable. So what we're going to do is export const get anime GQL backticks query get anime $ID, give it the ID of the anime, and then get all the information pertaining to the anime. This is going to be the description down below as GitHub URLs. Sorry, it's going to be a GitHub repo, so you can just go ahead and copy and paste from there. Cool. And so now for our final step, we are going to be creating our anime details component that's going to display all of our data from the API, from our API to our Apollo server to our GraphQL queries to our component. So many steps. So inside of my source folder, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it anime details.js, and I'm going to import React from React. And I'll do import use query from Apollo client, and then import get underscore anime from queries, and then I'll do export const anime details. This is going to take a parameter, so I'll give it a parameter. Let's call it anime ID, and then create a function. And inside of there, we can do all of our mumbo jumbo that we want. So I'll do a return statement, and inside of here is where all of our HTML is going to go. But right inside of here is where we're going to do all of our querying. So the const loading error and data is equal to use query, and give it get anime like so. And then inside of here, we'll do variables. And the only variable it's going to take is an ID, and this ID is going to be equal to anime ID, like so. Perfect. And then after that, I'll do if loading. Then we're going to return just a simple p tag that says loading, ... And then after that, if it's an error, just do return p something went wrong, and then let's do there we go, error dot message. Perfect. And then at the end, if everything is fine, data's there, it's all good, do const anime is equal to data, like so. Perfect. So now at this point, we have the data if everything went well and right from our GraphQL server. And then after that, we just have to display the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste the HTML that I've already made pre-hand to display this data. It's going to be a div with an h1 for the anime title, the anime image, the episodes, the synopsis, and it's going to be a map function of the genres. And so now let's go ahead and try this bad boy out. So I'll do npm start and hope for the best. And it didn't work, and the reason for that is because I completely forgot to import it into our app.js file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out all this information, and we're going to import anime details. I'm going to give it the parameter anime ID. Let's do that. Beautiful. Okay, so we have a bug that says Webpack less than 5 is used to include polyfills for Node.js. It makes no sense. But I had a typo. This is not supposed to be from Apollo Server Express. It should actually be from Apollo Client. Apollo client, at Apollo Client. There we go. And now everything works. So now if I go back into the app, we see that we have cluster edge. Don't know what that anim is about. That's pretty much it. Alright, so that concludes this tutorial. It's a very specific tutorial. I don't really think there's much of a use for this, but this is how you can convert REST API data to go through our Apollo server and then receive it to our GraphQL and then display it on our React app. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.